Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny back once again. Welcome to DFS Zone. I have a new NBA DFS video for you guys today. But before I get started, like always, I greatly appreciate you guys drop a like on the video. If you're new to the channel, it's your first time here, not ever seen any of my videos before, the only thing you need to do to be a part of our community and be able to have access to the videos is to become a subscriber. So if you haven't done so already, before you go, make sure you do subscribe. Make sure you also put on your post notifications. This way you don't miss out on any of my new uploads. With that being said, today is Saturday. It is November the 2nd, 2019, and we have a 7-gamer indie association. And before I get started, I won't say not a bad night. Some of my key plays, some of the guys that I mentioned yesterday in the video came through. Some did not. Harden didn't have a big game last night. Surprisingly, even Kyrie didn't have a big game. But out of the guys I gave you, Brogdon came through, as well as Kevin Love had a pretty good night. But that's about it. Glenn Robinson, the third, never really got in the mix with Golden State. Maybe he'll have a big game tonight. I mean, he's still on my radar for tonight as well. But not the great night for me, man. I recouped about maybe $10 of my money, so it was a losing night for me. Hopefully it was a better night for you guys. The surrounding players I put around some of these guys did not pan out, but nonetheless, hey, that's DFS. This is how it is. It's a grind, man, so we got to get back on it. I'm back on it. I'm getting myself refocused and looking at this slate a little more closely today, and so I'm ready to go at it again, man. So let's just get it. So all right, first piece of news, obviously. Tomorrow, Sunday, I'll be doing the drawing here at home. Monday, I will be announcing the two season passes I'm going to give away to two of you as far as the NBA DFS. Season pass will pretty much be the player pool. So you're going to have at least a list of a player pool every day that you got to at least play with and make lineups with. It's just another way for me to be able to help you guys out. So that's going to be available to two people for us crossing the 3,000 subscriber mark. I'm going to do that to give two of those away. And then, of course, we're going to have the regular weekly drawing where you're going to have 1 week access to either the player pool or to a lineup or two for an entire week. Okay. Streaming as well will probably come up. I'll probably be starting that sometime this week. So I know I've been saying it, but trust me, I will be doing it. I've gone live several times over the last year and a half. So some of you guys have been with me. You have known that I've been able to do that. So I will eventually do it. I'm just trying to get myself settled in and figure out a time. It looks more like it's going to be more a little later, maybe like 11 to 12, 11 a.m. to 12, or 11:30 to 12:30, something like that. But we'll figure it out. When I have it figured out, I'm going to definitely share that with you, and that will be on twitch.tv/DFS Zone. So if you haven't gone there yet and started following me, make sure you follow so that this way, and put on the notifications there as well. So when I go live, you'll be able to jump in there if you can, all right, and join the conversation. All right, and that's basically it, man. So if you want to be on that weekly drawing, just remember you got to like the video, you got to comment down below, and you got to be a subscriber. That's basically it for the weekly drawing, and that's basically it. All right, let me get to it, man. So it's a Saturday. I am busy. I'm actually doing this video about a whole hour later than I normally start doing it, so it's going to get out to you a little bit late today, but I hope that it's information that will help you guys make some decisions tonight. So at point guard, we're going to start off with some injury news real quickly because there is a couple of situations here tonight to look out for Detroit. You have Reggie Jackson, no Jackson. Obviously, that opens up Frazier, Derrick Rose, and Galloway. Denver has no Willie Barton tonight, so look at Beasley, especially Craig started the last game, so Craig and Beasley will get a bump in minutes. Of course, Harris as well, as far as usage is concerned on the court. They're going to have to find some more offensive weapons. Obviously, a big jump and a big boost for Murray and Jokic, so remember that as well. Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns is serving his first game of his suspension, so Vonderlei, Bell, I think, are probably the best bets for you guys if you want to find value there. Those guys will get some minutes and some run on the floor. Memphis, Brandon Clark is out. Obviously, he's been spelling relief and has actually played several times along with Jalen Jackson, but I would think right now Solomon Hill is probably going to get the biggest bump, and maybe some minutes to the youngster Grayson Allen. Golden State Warriors, if there is no Draymond Green, obviously Parashel, Chris, and Spillman, obviously between those three there, I would probably lean more towards Parashel and Chris, if I'm saying his name correctly, and Chris as the guys that will probably be the biggest beneficiaries for Golden State there. So if you want to get value, those are two areas you can go. Philadelphia, Josh Richardson is a game-time decision. If he happens to be out, obviously Korkmaz, and then maybe Thibault will probably get some minutes as well. And don't forget maybe James Ennis as well. He may get some minutes. No Embiid there, so just remember Philadelphia is going to be a bump for Ben Simmons as well as Tobias Harris and Al Horford. Those are the key guys there. And then you got Horford more than likely moving to center, so that will open up the doors a little bit for Bolden to get some minutes. And of course, coming off the bench, Mike Scott is going to get some action as well. So if you're looking for value, those are some areas you can look at as well. Portland, no Zach Collins, obviously with him out. And if, let's say, Whiteside can't go, then you're looking at Scal, I forgot how you spell his name, but Scal will probably get some time on the court. Tolliver, and of course maybe possibly some Hazonia. So keep those guys in mind. All right, point guard. Let's get to it, man. At point guard today, at the top, man, I am definitely listen. I will have some interest on Kyrie Irving. He didn't play particularly well. He didn't score, the high fantasy point totals last night. But he's on the front end of a back-to-back. Not a bad matchup for him at all, because Detroit does give up quite a bit of fantasy points to opposing point guards. But I am not going to make him a core here, but I will have a little exposure to him. I do like Ben Simmons a little bit more with no Embiid, so Ben Simmons is who I'm looking at. Ben Simmons, 9,500. You need 47 to me value at that price tag. On DK, he is 8,700, so I kind of like that price tag as well for him there. You only need... listen, first things first, this guy can get you 50 or better. That's for one, okay? He is capable of getting you, a double-double. And as you can see here at the numbers, he's averaging 16, 5, and 8. In his last 4 games, he's pretty much averaging 32 minutes or better. He is getting at least double-digit scoring. And he can, like I said, he could get you double digits as far as assists or rebounds on a given night. Sometimes he's even capable of getting a triple-double. But he brings to the table, look at this, 10, 11 steals over the last 3 games and 3 blocks. If he's able to do those kind of things, he's going to definitely bring up a lot of fantasy point totals. He's been shooting pretty well from the floor, 54% from the floor. His usage rate is up, and his usage rate is at 22% pretty much on average for the year. But when Embiid is off the court, it gets a bump of at least 3 or 4%. So you're looking at about 25, 26% usage rate for him going into tonight. So I definitely like that. He takes about 11, 12 shots a game, and of course, he brings you a little bit of defense with the steals and blocks. If he can do that, those additional fantasy point totals is what we're looking for. So he's going up against Portland. Portland has been allowing 39.5 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards, and in the last game they gave Chris Paul 36.5. I do believe Ben Simmons has the possibilities of here getting a 50-plus here today. I do like the matchup. I like Ben Simmons. Other than Ben Simmons, like I said, I do have plan to have exposure to Kyrie Irving going up against Detroit. Detroit, like I said, 45.3 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards. You also can consider here as well Kyle Lowry. 8,200, you need 41. Milwaukee's been coughing about 33.4 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards. And you got Jamal Murray as well. I do like Ricky Rubio here, 6,500, averaging 35. At 6,500, you need about 32, 33. And he's going up against Memphis. Memphis is allowed 37 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards. And you got to have some consideration that Isaiah Thomas, he's healthy. He looks like he is going to fit in well with the Washington Wizards right now. 4,900, you need 24. And he's been playing 24-plus minutes in his last 2 outings. I do like him there as well. And Minnesota's been coughing up. Jeff Teague, 46 fantasy points per game to opposing point guard. So those are guys that I'm looking at and are in my player pool for point guard. As shooting guard, at the top, I'm going Bradley Beal. He's finally come out. He got into that game with Harden, had a shootout. Tonight he's going up against Andrew Wiggins, and he's had, listen, he's been poor. He's been shooting poorly just as Harden has for his team for the first 3 or 4 games, but he finally found his shooting in the last game. And I think this is going to be where it's going to just keep turning up for Bradley Beal. 26 points per game, 5 rebounds, almost 6 rebounds a game, almost nearly 8 assists, 48.8 fantasy points per game at 9,900. You need about 49, so you need almost close to a 50 spot. As you can see, he put up a 69 spot in his last game. He's playing more than enough minutes, 34 plus in 3 straight games. As you can see, he had the monster game, 46 points from the floor with 6 rebounds and 8 assists. He does bring you a little bit of defense, can get you some steals and blocks, as you can see there. He has been shooting fairly well, in the last game or two. His field goal percentage has gone up. As you can see, in his last game, he was 70% field goal percentage, and he hit 58% of his threes. So he was on fire. When he is able to bury the shots, that is great. Now, the thing with Bradley Beal, guys, is like all these other big stars for their teams. He takes a lot of shots. And I tell you here, time and time again, you're looking for implied totals. You're looking for paced-up games. You're looking for players in those games in good, favorable matchups where they're going to be able to play large minutes, have a huge usage rate on it, and they take tons of shots on their team because they are the most important aspect of their offense. They're going to touch the ball a lot, and Bradley Beal is going to be able to do that. So he's been shooting for the year 39% from the floor, 33% from three. But again, this is a guy that can get you 50 or 60. He takes tons of shots. He takes pretty much, let me see here, my numbers, he takes 22 to 23 shots on average from the floor and 10 to 11 threes a game. That's over 34, 35 shots a game. And his usage rate is as high as it's ever been, 32% thus far for the year. So he is a very important piece to Washington Wizards' success and their offense. So the longer as he keeps taking those shots, once in a while you're going to have to take a shot at him. Now, the beauty of it is more times than not, he will give you 40, 45, 50. He could be a solid cash play. But today, I'm thinking will be pretty solid in this matchup for cash, and I do believe that he could be a great GPP play here as well. Massive shots again, man. When guys are taking that many shots, you got to love it. All right, he's going up against Minnesota. They have allowed only 28.3 fantasy points per game, but they have only played the only 2 guys that have put up significant numbers against them are not even top tier. Not even top-tier point guards. Kendrick Nunn put up 34.8, and Karis LeVert put up 36. So, again, I do like Bradley Beal as one of the top dogs here today. If we can close the screen. Let's go. Hello, let's go, screen. What's going on? There we go. So Bradley Beal's out of there. Other guys, some guys that I'm definitely still in my Devin Booker. Now here, remember I gave you Ben Simmons? I forgot to tell you, for DK, I like Devin Booker to replace Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons is more expensive on DK, and Devin Booker's price tag is a little bit more reasonable for his matchup. I believe he's got the better. So for me, for DK, I definitely like Devin Booker, and then of course I do like Bradley Beal. The rest of the way, I think everybody else will be guys that I'm targeting both on DK and FanDuel, just to point that out. So Devin Booker is here also. As someone I'm looking at, Memphis is giving up 34.7 fantasy points per game to opposing shooting guards. I like that matchup. I do like also Derrick Rose going up against Brooklyn, 5,800, needing 28. Derrick Rose, Brooklyn's been giving up 32.6 fantasy points per game. And then, of course, you got a couple of the youngsters at the bottom where you can pay down. Guys like Poole and Lee for Golden State that played, pretty much share their time on the floor. But those guys at 3,900, you only need 1,920. That could be an option. Malik Beasley obviously is an option as well as Torrey Craig. And, of course, Korkmaz, is someone to consider. So there's a couple of little values here that you can go with depending on how things pan out with the lineups later on. So definitely keep an eye on what's going on with the teams and who is playing and who's going to be out. Small forward, at the top, you got Giannis, you got Pascal Siakam. I think those guys, they're going up against each other. Tough matchup for both. I don't think any one of them, at least in my opinion right now, is going to put up a 60 spot or something like that. Anything can happen. But I am going to pay down a little bit at small forward. And obviously I do have some interest in Harris. I do have some interest in Oubre. Willie Barton is a game-time decision, but we just found out that he's going to be out. So he is out. I do have some interest in Crowder. There is obviously that opportunity there for Thibault. And I was on Glenn Robinson last night. Chances are I'm not going to be on him tonight, and he probably will ball out tonight. Taurean Prince had a monster game yesterday for Brooklyn. He is on the front end of a back-to-back, but Taurean Prince is someone to consider at 4,700, especially for what he is showing thus far. He's an integral part of their rotation in Brooklyn now. But I am kind of coming down right to Washington. Davis Bertans, I was on him on the last game. I mentioned him as a possible, play, and he ended up being on most of my lineups, and he came through. And what I like is that he's really being a big part of this offense. He is very much involved. So Davis Bertans, 4,400. You need 22 to meet value. On DK's 4,100. And he is playing very, very well. If you look at his numbers, 16, 3, and 1. But look at that, 26 plus in all 4 games. So he's playing more than enough minutes for his price tag. That's for one, because at 22 fantasy points, he is 1 fantasy point above that price tag, and he's playing. And when you're looking at that, you want to see if he's at least playing 24, 25 minutes or better. And he is. He's playing nearly as much as 32 minutes. And as you can see, his last 2 games, 21 plus, 21 and 23 points from the floor. Is pretty darn good. And the thing is that his shooting, when he gets some shots off and he is burying them at 34, 40, I say 40 to 45%, they're gonna keep feeding it to him. And he has a lot of confidence. He can definitely play. He's a shooter. So again, 56% shooting from the floor this year, shooting 55% from 3. Plus, he's also an excellent free throw shooter at 86%. He's taking 10 to 11 shots a game on average over the last 3 games, and he's averaging also about 7 threes. So at that clip at 56 and 55, if he's going to keep taking 7 and 11 shots from the floor, that's 18 shots from the floor, and he's burying them at 55% of the 55% rate. I think that's not a bad play for $4,400. This is a paced-up game. Also, you got to remember it is a 226.5. It is the second highest implied total game of the night. There's a lot of high paced-up games tonight, high implied totals, so it's going to be a little tricky to maneuver some of these guys around. But Davis is definitely someone to consider. He's going up against Minnesota. Minnesota's allowed 24.7 fantasy points per game to opposing small forwards. Not a huge number, but I do like the factors that he gets shots. His minutes are good. His price tag is fair, and he's also an excellent three-point shooter and a free throw shooter. And if he gets hot, he can get you 25, 30, even 35. At this price tag, he's pretty solid for tonight as a cash play player, and I think that he could put him on a GPP, and he has the possibility of getting you 30 or more here tonight. So I do like him a whole lot. On the watch list, other than Bertans, I do like Oubre, like I mentioned. I already pretty much mentioned a few guys, Terry and Prince, and so on and so forth. All right, at power forward. The power forward at the top, Draymond Green, is a game-time decision. I'm not high on Draymond Green today. I do like a lot Al Horford. He will have some exposure. I will have him in some of my lineups. Jaren Jackson will not be a bad play, but I'm always concerned with him when I put him in lineups because he gets into foul trouble a lot. I'm actually going to go against him today. I'm coming down here. I like Hachimura. I definitely like Hachimura a whole lot, but I'm going with Dario Saric, man. Dario Saric and the Phoenix Suns have been really, really impressive. I've caught a lot of their games thus far, and I kind of like the way this team is going with Monty Williams here. And I always thought Monty Williams was a great coach, man. Everywhere he goes, he definitely wins, and he gets players to play hard, and he gets them to play defense. So Phoenix is not that little pushover team anymore. Dario Saric, with his skill set of being tall, lanky, can rebound, shoot threes, can drive to the basket. He really spreads out the floor with his shooting. And his height is a problem for some people. So I think that today he could probably get under the skin a little bit of Jaren Jackson. 5,600 for Dario. You need 26 to me value. On DK, he's 4,800. I like him there as well. 25 average over there, so his price tag is just below his average, which is fantastic. He's averaging 25.6 here on DK. As you can see, his numbers almost 10 points and 6.5 rebounds a game with 3 assists. And as you can see, in 3 out of his last 4 games, he's played 31 minutes or better, and he has had 1 double-double, nearly 2 double-doubles. He's averaging 15 and 16 points a game off the floor in 2 out of the 3, and as you can see, a 36 spot here 3 games ago and a 48 spot in his last game. So he's starting to get into the flow of the offense and in the rotation on this team. He's been starting. It definitely has benefited that DeAndre Ayton is out. So with that, Dario has been taking his opportunities. He's shooting 42% from the floor, 37% from 3, taking about 9 to 10 shots a game, and nearly 3 or 4 threes a game. So he's getting his share of 13 to 14 shots per game at the moment, and that's not bad for a guy at 5,600. Okay, with playing the amount of minutes he's playing. He can get you, as you can see, he can get you some steals, man. He got 5 in the last game. That was a big boost in his fantasy point totals, and if he can continue to be that active with his feet and his hands and defend, we're definitely going to enjoy that, okay, as fantasy point fans, fantasy point players. So, again, going up against Memphis and Jaren Jackson, hey, man, I love it. I think it's a good matchup for him. I think he's just as tall as Jaren Jackson, and I think he can get under Jaren Jackson and get him into foul trouble, and now open up the doors for him to be on the floor more and be able to open up his shots, like taking those threes that he's very good at doing. So Memphis allowing 36.7 fantasy points per game. It is up there. It's one of the top, one of the poorest power forward defending teams in the league as far as fantasy points. So, again, granted, they did play against Anthony Davis in their last game. That really killed their fantasy point totals because they gave up 73 to him. But Dario Saric is definitely in play for me. I think that he'll be a nice play for us tonight. And other than Dario, like I said, I will have exposure to Horford at 6,900. I do like Hachimura a whole lot. He had 59, and some of those Washington players at 5,900. I like his matchup against Minnesota. Minnesota's giving up 36.2 fantasy points per game to opposing power forwards. Pascal for Golden State against Charlotte, like that. Charlotte is giving up 33.2, and you could also add in there Kaminsky as well. Kaminsky with Dario could be a problem for Memphis as well. And there's a couple other guys. You got after Kaminsky, you got Jeremy Grant, definitely someone to consider. You got Chris and Tolliver, these guys at 4,000. This range here is not bad at all. Then you got Amari Spillman at 3,800. Siri, he's available as well. Scal, Mike Scott, like I said before. Those guys are definitely guys that you should have on your radar, if you want to find some value. At center for me is an easy choice. You got Drummond here. He's on the front end of a back-to-back. I think Drummond will be fine again tonight. And out of the guys here at the top, I think he has obviously the best matchup. So I think he's going to light it up. I will have exposure to him easily. At least maybe half of my center spots will be Andre Drummond. But just for the sake of the video, just to give you guys other options, because, again, I'm telling you, I'm going to be on Drummond. So just because I don't put him here as the top center doesn't mean that I'm not going to be on him. Jokic, we'll probably sprinkle him in just to mix it up because I play multiple lineups. I'll probably have him in one or two lineups. I'm not high on Vucevic here against Jokic, and I'm not high on Jokic against Vucevic. I think these guys definitely will defend one another fairly well. But I think Drummond has the best spot. And then I'm going to come down and stay with Washington again, my third Washington player of the day, and that's Thomas Bryant. I think he's just going to beat up here. And granted, Thomas at 7,700 in today's slate, he's probably going to be the guy that's going to be most highly owned. He has a good price in a great matchup with no Karl Anthony Towns against Minnesota. That definitely is going to favor him a lot. I could see him being 30-40% owned. So he'll probably be the highest owned center. But Thomas Bryant, I'm not going to pass him up here. And like I said, I do like Drummond a whole lot as well. So when you think of Bryant, if you can get him open here, what's going on? So Bryant is averaging 14-10, double-double, almost 3 assists a game, 37.9, 7,700, you need pretty much 37. And on DK, he's 7,200, you need 36. So he is priced about right. And as you can see, 3 out of his last 4 games, double-double. He's playing over 30 minutes a game. And he brings defense, man. I mean, 4 blocks and 1 steal in the last game, 2 and 3 before that. He's had 9 blocks in his last 3 games and 3 steals. And that's what we're looking for. And he has 50-point upside. Granted, his floor right now is 24. But as you can see, his upside could be as much as 50. At that price tag at 50, he'll be a great GPP play. And the way he's been playing and the way Washington has been playing as a team, I could see him being a pretty decent cash play for you guys as well, personally. All right, so I do like him a whole lot here. He can get you blocks and steals. Like I said, he's a pretty good defender. His usage rate has been up this year. He's up to 19, almost 20% usage rate when he's on the floor. His field goal percentage is at 48%, 28% from 3, and he's also shooting fairly well from the free throw line at 83% thus far. In his last 3 games, he's been averaging about 12 to 13 shots from the floor. That's definitely up from last year. And he's averaging also 3 or 4 threes a game. So he is taking some shots. He's getting his 16, 17 shots. And that's just simply because Washington is up there. They're one of the teams. They're like 11th in the league as far as pace is concerned, taking about I think it's 104 possessions a game. So that's one of the reasons why. And they've been playing that paced up game. But Thomas Bryant, definitely love him here. He's going up against Minnesota. Again, no Karl Anthony Towns. They have been allowing 25.3 fantasy points per game to opposing centers, and Beal had 33 before just about the time they got into the fight, him and Towns. He had put up 33. That was the last center they played. Other than that, Jared Allen of the Brooklyn Nets did put up 36 early on in the year. So, again, if they give Jared Allen 36, I could think Thomas Bryant should be in pretty good shape here to get 40 or better and crush value. And, again, like I said, exposure to Drummond. And that's pretty much it, man. And guys, good luck today. Drop a like on the video. These 4 or 5 guys are all on the DK list. Other than at point guard, I do believe that Devin Booker will be a nice person to slot in there in the DK. So in DK, it will read Booker, Beal, Bertans, Saric, and Bryant, and you're going to have, over $5,000 available to add players. And over here, as you can see, you got still $5,700 to maneuver things around and get some solid plays and build your lineup from there. Again, I wish you guys a lot of luck. Again, if you want to be in the drawing, you got to drop a like in the video, comment down below, make sure you're a subscriber, and again, that's pretty much it, man. I wish you guys a lot of luck. No video tomorrow, as you know. Like I said early on, I won't do NBA videos on Sunday simply because I play NFL on Sunday. I get too fired up for those games. I make changes during the course of my morning, do a little bit more research, so on and so forth. So no NBA video tomorrow. I will be back on Monday with the next NBA main slate video. All right? God bless. Good luck tonight, and I'll see you guys on Monday.